All right. Thank you, everyone. I'm back. And my guest today is none other than Frankie Ruiz. For those of you who don't know Frankie is the face and the founder, I believe, of fitness in South
Thanks.
Florida and in Miami, the founder of fitness, right? He's founder of the co-founder of the Miami Marathon. He is Nike's Coach of the Year for running and so many more things. He's active in the community. If anybody comes into town for fitness, they usually run across Frankie and all his endeavors and his events. And he's definitely the voice of, I believe, fitness in South Florida, which has lately been drawing a good amount of tourism. And his events have shaped, I believe, the city of Miami. So thank you, Frankie, for jumping on and talking
Thanks,
with me,
Emi.
buddy.
Thanks, Emi, for that intro. I don't know if I'm the founder of fitness or any of those things, but if you say so.
It's hype, man. It's good stuff. It's good stuff, dude. You've definitely been running a lot longer than I have. So let's just dive right into it, man. You co-founded the Miami Marathon, or what now is known as a Lifetime Marathon. It's taken on a bunch of names. But how long ago did you co-found that?
So this was our 23rd edition. So it's been, I don't know, we started planning that a while back ago. So it's probably about 24, 25 years in the making to get to this point.
25 years ago. I mean, if you could just walk me through, I mean, that must have been, I mean, you're like, did you ever think it was going to be this big?
I mean, we started the race at a time when I'd like to say, in comparison to what Miami is now, it was a ghost town. It really was. It was a vacation town at the time. I think it was a retirement community in certain parts of the beach. I mean, I feel like Miami was just taking off with major events, whether it was Ultra, South Beach Wine and Food Festival, even the iterations of the boat show, the way we see it, and all the major events, our Basel, we're just kind of getting started. And those first few years, we had few thousand runners. The number I always throw around is about 3,000 runners for that first edition. I don't even know. I don't even know if it was that high, but we'll lay claim that it was a strong start. We did get lucky. It was in the 50s, the start temperature, which had a lot to do with Miami's poor reputation with running. And after that, I guess you'd say there was some big companies that took notice of the race, and we got some more investment, and the race just started to grow. Did we see it as the way we see it now? Yeah, I joke about this all the time. Yeah, we see it exactly the way it is now. No, I'd be lying if that was or I'd be a fortune teller. But no, I know we thought it would be a destination race, but the fact that it's 67% of the runners are drawn from out of town, the fact that it's become Latin Americans' sort of destination race, the fact that the city is blown up with running in general from locals, I guess all of that has really made its way into making the marathon a pretty special event in our community.
Did you say 67% is from out of town?
Yeah, 67% come from outside Miami-Dade County.
So hotels are a problem that time of year, right? They get a little expensive, I'm assuming.
They get expensive, certainly. I mean, it normally was a high season for Miami, although I think this day and age our high season's just gotten wider and wider and further out. But January is definitely a month. January and early February are definitely times of the year where room rates were typically pretty high. And I guess the marathon now has contributed a little bit more to that.
It's a true story. I remember walking out of space. I don't know. This is every single year, basically, for years ago. And it's always the marathon's coming, man. The streets are closing down. And here we are coming home from a night out, and everyone is, being healthy, and flip it, 10, 15, 20 years later. And I'm the guy trying to.
It's crazy.
Participate.
And what's crazy is that space is still part of the mix, right? Like it's still on our roughly mile 11 and a half or so, close to 12. Mm-hmm. And what is cool is that now you have space advertising, to folks to come in to the club after the race with their medals and whatnot. So to think that space was going to be part of the DNA now of a major marathon like the Miami Marathon is pretty cool. And the fact that you're sitting there talking to me about it is even more full circle.
I found a text message the other day. Actually, it was a Facebook message, Frankie. It was like from 20 years ago, or 16 or 20 years ago. And it was you asking me if we could put something for the marathon on the crowbar cameo theater marquee in the front.
Holy
hey,
cow.
man, the runners are coming. And I remember the picture for the Miami Herald or one of the New Times, I forgot where it was a picture of runners running across from that. And I was like, oh, my God, I can't believe, here we are 20 years later talking about this. It's amazing to see the evolution of that. You've really been on the cusp of all these trends. I think there's a lot of trends right now, especially with health, wellness, and things to do in Miami. One of those have been the run clubs, no?
Yeah, the run club scene worldwide, to be perfectly transparent about it. I mean, I think Miami is in a unique position in the fact that we can run 365 days a year with relatively good weather. That makes it even more apparent here in Miami. But running in general, I there's a lot of theories out there as to why it's blown up the way it has. I'd like to think that we were part of the reason why it blew up. But when we first started, there was a couple run clubs out there, and they were really traditional president, vice president, membership, and almost like your sort of old school setup. And now I've got a coalition. Actually, we got together recently at John Martin's, where we had 60 plus leaders of various run clubs in South Florida. And I don't think we got everybody. I mean, I think there's probably another 80, sorry, not another 80, but another 20, 30 that we didn't bring into the room for whatever reason they couldn't make it. But all these run clubs are following sort of this new trend to bring running into just about everybody's life. I think now you have young people that are okay being in the same space as older people for whatever reason. Maybe I'm saying that as an older person, but I think that has played a role in that. Running used to be seen like something you did when you were older. So I think that's pretty unique about the trend right now. The other trend I think you're seeing is that running can happen anywhere. It used to follow pretty strict rules, like it needed to be near a park or at a track or at on a bridge or something very either scenic or unimpeded, if you will. And now you've got run clubs showing up in Little Havana and Miami Lakes. There's another one that's just recently here popping up in Hialeah. You've got West Kendall, Homestead. I mean, pockets of this city that you wouldn't necessarily think of people gathering on a weeknight to run through, stoplights and the suburbs. But that's just where running is.
And it's a social thing too.
Absolutely. And I think that speaks a lot to the hospitality, world that you live in, that these people are gathering with the intention of not just running, but they're gathering with the intention of possibly going out after, going and experiencing a bar or a restaurant or a hotel lobby after a run during a weeknight, which is not something that you would typically think of. Your big nights were always Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and now you've got runners going out on a Tuesday night after their run club or their track session or whatnot. And I think that's pretty cool. It also brings a community out at times that typically people are hunkered down watching, Netflix at home or something.
What's the largest group you've ever had at one of your run clubs? Because, I mean, you have quite a few different run clubs, no?
We've got 9 that fall under my sort of guidance. Baptist Health is the main sort of purveyor or partner in all of these, along with Nike. And these 9 are, at like I said, anywhere from Homestead all the way up through Sunrise. And the largest one of those is Brickell Run Club. I get in trouble these days just saying that I'm leading that because it's gotten so large and so popular. And I'm grateful the fact that we're there, but it's pretty awesome to see that overwhelming. It's definitely it's a lot bigger than when we started. Tell you that. Much like the marathon, it just kind of exponentially grew, especially the last 2 to 3 years. It
you
also
definitely don't want to say a number. You're
no, I'm not gonna say a number. I'm not gonna say a number. Get held to that number, but it's into the thousands at this point. and it also brings to light some of the limitations that our rapidly growing city has, which is narrow sidewalks, single lanes of traffic. We've got impeded sidewalks. We've got lack of parks in our metro area. So all those things,
especially at the core too, right? In Brickell, right? It gets a little tough. Walking around.
Yeah, Brickell's a park desert in a way, right? The terms thrown around a lot that places where people don't have access to a lot of park facilities is it's a detriment to the value of the area. But for whatever reason, Brickell makes the Riverwalk work and makes the Baywalk, makes the most out of it, and then they've got obviously some good access to the Rickenbacker, and that provides some space. But our downtown area and so forth can certainly, I mean, if somebody can come up with a great way of adding parkland, which I know the underdeck and the underline have all contributing to that, but we can always use more.
Yeah, the Riverwalk should be coming soon. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah,
that should connect.
Mm-hmm.
That should connect all the way to us and for where we are, where the wharf was, and there's going to be again all the way towards Bayside. No.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. People don't know that you can almost get to the wharf from the mouth of the Miami River. You got to pop out around a building a set of buildings that I'm not thrilled have limited access through the river itself. But outside of that, I mean, you're almost there. You can almost run your way all the way to Spring Garden, past Loomis Park and whatnot. And I think that's something we've been missing here. Fort Lauderdale's got some good connectivity along their Riverwalk. It's about time Miami gets its own.
Yeah, you've been talking about park space for a long time, ever since I've known you, and you always go on social media and you're doing the plogging events. You're a big proponent of the parks. So it's nice to see that it's all going together. Speaking of parks, and actually now that we're kind of testing, and we got a lot of people that visit Miami, a lot of people that are into their health and their wellness, and they come to Miami. And what are some of the, if you're a tourist coming into Miami and you wanted to do something that was somewhat healthy, get active, etc., what are some of the things, if there's a list of a top 3 things that you would suggest somebody coming to Miami that they could do that is somewhat healthy and or somewhat to that wellness lifestyle?
I I don't think that I see visiting the city the way that say I don't want to use the word typical, but an average tourist might. I like to think of adventure. I like to think of things that I might experience at a city that would allow me to take home a story. And so if I was maybe some close friends, I don't know if I would do it to strangers. I would say definitely you got to head out to the Everglades. And you need some guidance. You can't do it June, July, August. So if you're a tourist during those months, I would probably advise against it. But the rest of the year, I would certainly encourage you to go check out the Everglades. It's Miami's best kept secret. It's so close to us.
Why do you love it? I mean, you love the Everglades. I see you constantly posting videos, running, taking your kids there. There's a lot going on in the Everglades, no?
I think that's part of it. The fact that there's a lot going on and on the surface it looks like it's like there isn't, and that's always intrigued me. I do like the fact that it is still somewhat of a secret, so you're not going out there, bumping into thousands of people necessarily. Maybe one day it will, and that'll make it pretty cool too. And I think the other reason why I like it so much is if I, as a runner, feel like I'm exploring or that almost kid-like feeling where you're going somewhere new. I feel like every time I go out to the Everglades, it feels new. It feels like I haven't been there, and I go often. And it brings me back to my childhood when I take my kids out now somewhere. Everywhere you take them practically when they're 4 or 5 is new to them. And the Everglades makes me think back to my childhood when you were taken somewhere for the first time.
Damn. That makes sense. Now, speaking of which, now we just touch on tourism real quick, but the city of Miami Beach is trying to rebrand itself, or it's going to rebrand itself, or we're in the process of rebranding itself as a wellness destination, which I think is very smart. But you've had, what are your thoughts on that? And do you think, us in South Florida having been such a reputation for being a party destination, there's a shift in trying to be a wellness blue zone and or all these health and fitness activities. And Miami Beach is really trying to lead the front on that.
Yeah. I look. I think Miami Beach right now is a case study, and for anybody planning a city or anybody interested in the future of their city, whether here in Dade County with the other 34 municipalities or anywhere for that matter, you kind of have to see the bend at the ahead on the road and know where you've got to shift your focus. And I'm not going to say Miami Beach was asleep at the wheel. They've been working at it for some time, but this is something that's it's a problem that's been coming for a while. And sometimes I think cities have to look at what they already do well and try to elevate that. And for some time, I've been preaching, I guess, to the community that Miami Beach does wellness pretty darn well, and it does fitness in a pretty good way. They've got quality parks, they've got views and scenery that no one else can match. Obviously, we got weather. It has a lot of the right ingredients. They've also got certain fitness facilities and gyms and health clubs and even some specialty areas, whether it's yoga studios and Pilates and all these elements that make Miami Beach a perfect place to amplify the wellness message. It's no secret that Miami Beach has actually had a net loss of residents under, I believe it's under 44, 45 years old. And some of that is your working class. And I think they've left because there hasn't been a sufficient, besides the livability or the affordability, there just hasn't been a concerted effort to change the narrative in Miami Beach from a long time ago. I mean, now it's changed. So I think where they're headed is definitely to a special place. We're going to be bringing High Rocks we brought High Rocks a couple of years ago, and they're coming back now. They're going to be indoors this year at the Miami Beach Convention Center, and then the following year in 26, together with Wodapalooza, sort of bookending that week, crucial week in March, to help change the narrative. But we're expecting 20,000 athletes at that High Rocks event. And that's hopefully going to continue to change his narrative. We have the 305 half marathon that takes place at the beginning of March. So that whole month of March is gonna influence this paradigm shift and hopefully give it a little more of a shot in the arm here. I know that you've got World Cup and all the activities surrounding the college national championships. All those things converging might very well be that massive shift that Miami Beach is going to need. So if all these collide together, coupled with some quality of life changes, there's a couple new parks coming online there in Miami Beach. All these things that are going to contribute to the year-round fitness and wellness and exercise and running components of the city. We're gonna look back in the rearview mirror and say, wow, Miami Beach really did turn the corner.
Yeah, they did. I mean, they got the foot on the gas. Listen, you mentioned High Rocks. For those people that don't know, what is High Rocks?
So High Rocks, the best way I know how to describe it, is a concept that came from Germany. It's for lack of a better description, it celebrates a hybrid athlete. A hybrid athlete is someone that basically goes to the gym, runs a bit, does other lifestyle or healthy lifestyle activities and puts them through a competition, and it's basically fitness racing or a fitness competition that has several disciplines. I know Emi's been he's competed. We can call him a High Rocks athlete, so he can tell you a little bit more about the individual disciplines. But it's as if a gym and a running race sort of converged and had a baby and had a little influence from some of the other functional fitness competitions that are out there, and you get High Rocks. And right now it's the most rapidly growing fitness concept in the world, for that matter. I believe something like 160 locations or 160 races are taking place, and Miami Beach was actually at the forefront of this years ago. And the event prior to COVID was held and took a little bit of a break here with Miami Beach, and it came back 2 years ago and was successful on the sand. And now they've got a sold out event in April at the Miami Beach Convention Center, and then they'll be back in 26 with a massive build out on Miami Beach's sands to again push this concept of fitness in Miami Beach during March.
I really love the High Rocks race, man. I believe it's changed my life. It gives people a reason to do their thing, man. I don't think there's anything like it, to be honest with you.
It's awesome.
Even old guys like me could jump in and kind of feel the rush of being in a sport again.
We're not old, man. We're not old.
I guess it depends how you're looking at it, right? You mentioned that. So if, top three, you obviously, we talked about High Rocks. You talked about the March in Miami Beach. Obviously the marathon. And you produce countless marathons year round. I mean, not marathons, sorry, 5Ks and races year round.
Yep.
One of the ones I went to that I thought was probably the most unique one was one that was run inside the MIA, inside
Yep.
the airport.
Yeah.
How'd you end up pulling off a marathon inside? Sorry, not a marathon. How'd you end up? Let me start that again. How did you end up pulling off a 5K run inside the Miami International Airport?
Well, I got to give credit to the airport folks. There was a group in there. There's still several of those individuals are still there in the administration that really wanted to tell the community, hey, look, the airport, is a little more than just what you might think it is. Going through TSA and getting on a plane and leaving. There's a lot of different people that run the airport. There's also different parts of the airport. And all that was part of an initiative to engage the Miami-Dade Aviation Department with the rest of the community. That coupled with the American Cancer Society's making strides, efforts on an annual basis to raise money for breast cancer research and whatnot, all kind of came together right before COVID, and the pieces fell into place during COVID because the airport was not a busy place during that time, and we were able to utilize the runway to sort of launch this concept here. Not to mention, I mean, there are other airport runs around the world, but Miami in the 60 some odd years of the airport didn't have one, and it was just a fitting place where you didn't have to deal with car traffic; you had to deal with airplane traffic. So we're several years into this, where now the series has grown into the other aviation properties that the county runs and that us taxpayers help pay for some at times. One is at the Tamiami Executive Airport, or the Miami Executive Airport out in West Kendall. Then you've got the Opa-locka Airport as well, where we also have a race, and that's actually a nighttime runway race, which is pretty cool. It's gonna be the first year we do that one at night. It's gonna be a 5K, 10K on the tarmac, and it's fully functioning airport that just that particular runway will be on hold or suspended for landing and takeoffs for that period of time. But it's the only time that a resident will really get to experience a tarmac or a runway in that manner. And I'm excited that I was part of that, the launch of that and the continued tradition of that in our community.
That's an amazing. That was pretty cool. You're running and then there's planes to not too distance just landing next to you. It's pretty. It sounds dangerous, but it wasn't dangerous. I felt totally safe, to be honest with you. That was a pretty unique place to run. Where would you say is the most unique place you've gone running?
So I did something that I don't know if my wife now will allow me to do again, because I did it right before we got married. And actually it was it was during our engagement period, but that a few months prior to the wedding, I decided that I would try to get to the southernmost point of the continental U.S., contiguous continental U.S., so not connected with a bridge. So everyone obviously knows the Key West, but not a lot of people know that East Cape is the southernmost point of the U.S. and Florida without having to cross a bridge and car. And that particular run starts out of the Everglades through the Flamingo area, Flamingo portion of the Everglades. And it was about a 19 to 20 mile run slash slog or slosh through the coastline and cutting across mangroves and some pretty dangerous areas. I did it with several guys and actually and one girl. We made it down there to the southernmost point on foot, and to this day I don't know if anybody else has done it.
Gators snapping at you?
There were crocs, gators. I don't even know how many bull sharks or sharks we saw along the way.
Crazy.
It's probably not the smartest thing to do, but definitely the most unique expedition. And we ran some of it. Like I said, we had to wade through it, but we got there. And when we got there, there was I don't know, it must have been like a 14-foot. I don't even know if that alligators can get that big, but it was like a 14-foot alligator just sunning right at East Cape. And it was just amazing to get there and see this monster. It looked like a dinosaur just hanging out there, and not a single soul out there. May have seen a boat or two.
No cell service?
We got, funny enough, I think we got cell service. It was probably coming in from like Marco Island or something. That's how far south or southwest we went. But yeah, that had to have been the most unique experience.
Did you catch a
running.
sunset, or was it nighttime by then?
We started like at 6 a.m. and I want to say we got back right at as the sunlight was giving up on us, and yeah, mosquito bites but one of the best stories. We left a couple guys under a tree because they couldn't keep going, and probably a little dangerous to have left them behind, but we didn't want to stop our way down there. As they say, don't stop.
Oh, yeah. I see the motto, don't stop everywhere you go. That's funny, man.
Yeah.
Brother, top 3 fitness events.
Top 3 fitness events
in Miami or South Florida.
In Miami. I mean, I'm gonna obviously say the Lifetime Miami Marathon. I think they gave us this catapult into what is our fitness and running modern day scene right now, and that has to be seen as one of the top fitness events here. It's got a health and fitness expo with 50,000 people, every drink and shoe and apparel you can think of. That has to be one of the top. This past year, it felt like the Art Basel week of parties or Miami Music Week. In fact, I think it was a few of us that started calling it Miami Run Week. And yeah, it's moved beyond just a one-day running event. It really has become a week-long celebration of running, fitness, and all things Miami. Number 2, I would have to say, I give a lot of credit to Wodapalooza. Steve started that event a while back. I think he had the vision to see where functional fitness and CrossFit and fitness competitions were going to go, and that event now kind of coupled with High Rocks is going to be seen as one of Miami's top fitness events. Those 2 weekends coming together is going to be a full 10-12 days of health and fitness and exercise and competitions in Miami. And then the third is the corporate run. I think the corporate run been around longer than I have. It's been years that Lori and the Footworks team have been producing that, and it's pretty special to see what that event introduces people to. And it draws both avid and beginners, but that may very well be the place where a lot of folks re-enter or maybe newly enter a stage in their life where they focus on health and fitness and walking and running. And that 5K is obviously billed as one of the largest office parties, but I think it's one of the largest fitness events in South Florida.
People get wild on that one.
Yeah, it's like like the office, Christmas parties, right? Or the office, get-togethers. They could be a lot of fun, and that one after they're done, a lot of people hang out in their respective company tents and share the the celebration on a Thursday night that they just completed a 5K, some of them for the first time in their life.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I having participated and also seen it from the other side.
Yeah, because it passes right in front of the wharf's
Yeah, I mean,
site.
people look, people ran their own corporate marathon. I think at a certain point, right? They would make pit stops. They did their own site maps, and they would go and have shots at every single bar and or restaurant that was open at that time in downtown, veer off, turn around, come back, and make it just in time to continue partying with their coworkers. I thought that was pretty cool. But but actually, I was surprised when I ran in it last year that there was there's a lot of people that take it very serious, and even in the CEO section and the business owner section, like just seeing it go off, and also the popularity of it. I mean, it wasn't maybe the 25 or 28,000 people that the Lifetime Marathon has, but it was.
No, they're 20,000 plus. It's anytime you get into those numbers, you're definitely impacting a significant portion of the population in Miami. Not to mention that they also do it in Broward and Palm Beach.
They do it in Broward and Palm Beach.
Yeah, and what's pretty special, I think, is that they go into an area of our lives that we often discount as just work, but that's where you spend most of your day, right? And the fact that this event is attached to your job or to your your career or your place of work is pretty awesome. And you're right, people do take it serious. There are CEOs out there that I know are training all year long that day to either set the example or beat other CEOs that take take that day serious.
They do take it serious. Hey, you just mentioned something. I'm curious. What do these big corporations that there's obviously these run clubs and marathons and races have a lot of corporate dollars behind them. Well, a lot of them do. Not all of them, but some of them do. And there's always companies getting involved, trying to activate and sponsor and or gain some name recognition. Why do they love the running game so much? And why is being like, what do they see in running and in that community that it's like, hey, I want to give some dollars and I want our name to be a part of that?
I think it depends on the company, but most of them, I think, realize that's a space where they can meet the consumer, or in some cases their own employees, in a place where today's sort of status of sport or status of running, that is non-judgmental, very open, very welcoming, very inclusive, and extraordinarily honest. That for that matter. And what I mean by honest is that person is out at that run or that run club or that race being who he or she is, without a whole lot of facade to them. And that's typically what happens whenever you're out sweating in any exercise, right? And I think that the fact that corporations now have taken notice is obviously legitimizing the sport even further, but it's also coming to the realization that there are masses gathered now at these running events and races and clubs and track nights and whatnot. And it just makes the company more human when they meet people at these types of events. It's it's a very authentic way to approach a consumer. You're basically helping support their healthier life
journey. Yeah.
Yep.
That makes sense. Well, listen, you've gotten to a point of your career, and I think a lot of people, when they're successful, obviously you're very busy. One of the greatest pleasures you get, at least I've found, that to be able to pass on your knowledge to another group of people and or to teach other people. And you're a very successful coach. You're on the Nike app. You coach a very talented group of runners in Belen in high school, top running school one of the top running schools in the country, arguably. And you won Coach of the Year on that. Walk me through why did you choose to continue or why did you choose to coach, and what is the most you get out of it? And not the most you get. What do you get out of it? And I don't know. I feel like that's something worth talking about because I don't know. I just that's something that caught my attention. Obviously,
Yeah, that anytime I talk about coaching, a smile instantly comes to my face. People want to talk to me about anything at any time. I probably wouldn't entertain any other subject if it wasn't cross country. I love talking about coaching. I love talking about getting the most out of people in general, and that's one of the reasons why I've and I shouldn't say getting out of it, helping them get the most out of themselves. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm attracted to coaching. And that's one of the reasons why I decided to become an entrepreneur, because I didn't think there would be a company out there that would be okay with me leaving at 3:00 in the afternoon to, drive a bus to a race. Maybe now, maybe they might be a little more open to it because running is a little more understood. But if 20 years ago, I would have said to a new employer of mine, hey, I'm darting out at 2:00, to drive a bunch of high school kids to a meet. You cool with that? And or go to practice at 4:00 in the afternoon, they probably wouldn't be as okay with it. So I figured I had to do my own thing to be able to sustain the commitment that's required to be a coach in cross country or track, for that matter. And I'm doing everything I can to hang on to it as much as I can, because I've got 2 kids and a beautiful wife to attend to and be with. That anytime I'm away from them, it pains me a bit to know I'm away from them doing something else. But I do love it, and I hope I can do it for a while, longer while for that matter. I have no idea when I'll retire from it, but it's something I love doing.
well, usually coaches and or players and or athletes usually have somebody that influenced them. Who's the person that's influenced you most in your athletic endeavors?
I got to say, Carlos Barking and my dad both are from an athletic standpoint. They both played significant roles in coaching me as a young cross country or track runner. Along the way, I always look back and I'm like, gosh, they really did change the trajectory of my entire life by introducing me to what running is and was back then. And I think I owe them a ton of gratitude every day that goes by, because they planted those seeds and they're still around. I gotta say, still helping me along the way, whether it's getting involved with one of the races I produce or helping me out there with coaching.
Yeah, I've seen your dad at a lot of your races, actually.
Yeah.
Making sure people like me don't get lost.
There you go.
That's great. Well, actually, I got one on the races. Have you ever done an ultra marathon?
I have not, and I still don't have that itch. How I don't. I have tons of respect. I've recently been intrigued by these folks that are running, whether it's a set amount of hours, a 12-hour race, or these folks putting 50 miles around a McDonald's or 50 miles around a Burger King or some other establishment. These things have intrigued me a bit. They're a bit extreme, and
50
maybe
miles around a Burger King.
Yeah, there's people doing marathons and ultra marathons around, places you wouldn't again think about running around. So I've seen that. So those have caught my attention. Definitely. I think if I did do my first ultra, it would be somewhere in the Everglades, maybe Big Cypress or Fakahatchee or one of these spots down here. But I still haven't done one. But it's bound to be on my list. No, the only thing that comes to mind is I'd encourage young people out there to get involved with, and it sounds like a PSA, but get involved with their local politics, some way, shape, or form. I can't say I've been 100% successful in getting some of the parks in better shape or the streets cleaner or addressing other community needs, but I'd like to say I've had a role in some of the improvements to our community. We just need more people. We need young people filled with energy. We need older folks with experience to nudge our public officials, nudge our elected officials into realizing that the details matter, whether that's the cleanliness of our waterways or the cleanliness of our sidewalks or streets, or the quality of our parks. The way we take care of those amenities says a lot about us. It's not just about running, and it's not just I want places to host races. I'd like to see some of these things get better, so that people have a little more pride and more engagement in their communities. So Miami sees a better day than it's all yesterday or the week before, and we start to look a little bit ahead here. Our own kids, Emi, your kids, my kids, that they don't look back and be like, God, what were our parents thinking? Look what they did to our parks or our sidewalks or our baywalks or our beaches. And I think we've got a responsibility to look out 15, 20, 30, 40 years ahead and really plan for their future. So young people get involved. I think some people know more about national issues than they do about their own local commission or their local parks department. And I think sometimes these departments need to be held accountable. They also need to be nudged and thanked whenever they do things right. And I hope to continue having the time to get involved in these things.
Well, I've seen you do your part, man. I mean, just to bring it up, I mean, you've organized something called the plogging event. For those who don't, I didn't know what plogging was until you brought it up. What is plogging?
Before I tell you what plogging is, I could say something. It sounds a little bold here, but we live in a pretty dirty area, and it's to no fault of any one single person or department or entity. It's just we've got this culture that it's somebody else's problem. I'm going to toss this out my window. I'm going to toss this out off my boat. I'm going to just sprinkle a little of my garbage here in this parking lot and just move on. In Miami, if you look closely, and if you haven't gone on a walk outside of maybe just your immediate neighborhood, go walk and you'll see the garbage stuck to the floor, growing on our bushes and trees. You'll see the waterway, especially the river and certain freshwater canals and whatnot, how much garbage we don't dispose of correctly. And so going back to what plogging is, that's a pet peeve of mine. I mean, I see people just, flicking things out their windows, whether it's a cigarette butt or a used vaping device or whatnot. You just see it all over the place, and I think that's disrespectful to your community, disrespectful to your neighbor. And we just don't have enough people to pick up after everybody. But we try to do something, not just whine about it. At least a couple times a year, we organize a group of runners. Brickell Run Club's been at the forefront of this for a while. So has South Beach and some of the other clubs, even Kendall, where you run and basically bend down and pick up garbage as you move along through your route that day. And it's called plogging because it's a Swedish term for plocka, which is, I believe it's that description I gave you, which is lean down, pick up, and continue along and come back with a bag filled of just litter. And so these plogging events or gatherings have been taking place for quite some time around the world. In Miami, we've got a big one. It's amazing what we can collect with a few hundred people in an hour. It's incredible. I mean, people come back with mattresses and come back with cans and bottles and plastic cups and things that just shouldn't be on our swales and our roadways and our gutters. Those things all end up at some point along the river, or they end up in our beaches, and we just complete disregard for the environment and disregard for someone else's view. So awesome. That's a little bit about what plogging is.
Awesome. When are you going to do that next one?
So we try to do around Earth Day, Earth Week, that time of the year, and that's something you can follow along on my Instagram. I'll usually kind of advertise about that. You can join us doing that. and there's other groups. It's not just ours. I know a lot of the run clubs take the same initiative during that time of the year, and we runners have a pretty unique perspective because when we get tired, we start looking down. You know,
I always look down, man.
there you go. You look down when you're running around, but yeah, you look down and you just, unfortunately, I tend to see what's wrong. It's seldomly that I praise, okay, this is clean, but if you run along almost any public part of Miami-Dade County, I don't care where you are at, and you look closely, you see the garbage. There's a few cities that do it right, and they clean up pretty hard after people, but most just can't keep up with the garbage,
Frankie, anything else?
I mean, we can talk forever, Emi. I mean,
we could. I mean, we could definitely. We talk a lot.
I haven't done enough. I do want to say one thing. I haven't done enough to praise Emi. I think there are individuals that we don't realize make our city what it is and make our city a place where we want to continue living in, and whether it's for entertainment or inspiring people to do more with their businesses, or just be a good example as a dad, as a husband. Emi checks off all those boxes, and for those that don't know Emi, you definitely should follow him, because he's I don't know, I always feel like every time I talk to Emi, he's happy, whether it's out at night or in the office. He's always got happiness in mind, and always looks at the best possible side of things. But I gotta give,
man.
Yeah, man, it is amazing. That you keep that attitude all the time. So I will recognize and thank you, and definitely celebrate everything that you are to Miami, because we need a lot more Emmys to come after you. A lot
appreciate
more,
it, man.
Yeah, so thank you,
I don't
Emi,
think
for
I'm
everything.
that deserving, but thank
you. You'd be surprised.
You. Half full. You just gotta look at things half full, man. I'm a firm believer that everyone's glass is half full. I mean, so you want to look at it as half empty or half full? I mean, you can always put more in it.
I've had the pleasure of knowing Emi for well over, I want to say 20, gosh, Emi, what has it been, like 20, almost 30 years? Yeah, right, 30 years. And he's never showed me otherwise, whether it was when we were in college to now being working together on projects and stuff. He's always, just thinking about winning for everybody, not just himself. Definitely not, doesn't check off a selfish box.
Thanks, man.
Always, yeah.
I hope my kids see this one day.
Yeah, right. They should. There are people that take from the city. There are people that and those are usually the people that are complaining about Miami and whatnot. And then there are those people that give to Miami, and those are people that we should celebrate and be grateful for, and do whatever we can to amplify their message and elevate their status in our community, because there aren't as many Emmys out there.
Okay.
No, man, I think it's true. I think it's true, because some people succeed in business. They lose that humble, side to them. Then it all becomes about them. And Emi's been successful, and he continues to think about how to make Miami a better place, and I'm appreciative of that. And
Thank
I recognize
you, man.
that.
I appreciate you spending the time and talking on the record with me. I think for me, I just want to use my platform and our reach to show the different things Miami has, and Miami has a great fitness and wellness community, and you've had a major part to do with that. And I believe for me, it's one of the reasons why I like to travel now. Recently I've gotten into High Rocks, for example, and I like to travel to High Rocks, and I take a 2 or 3 day vacation with my wife, and make a vacation out of it. So it's more like a wellness vacation. She gets to sleep because she's dealing a lot with the kids. I get to do my High Rocks. I get my number one fan with me, which is my wife, and then we get to spend a day or two together, and then get back to the kids and start, get back in the grind. So,
yeah,
the fact that between the marathons, the races, you're being one of the reasons that High Rocks came to Miami, and the reason I found out about it, It's changed my life for the better, and you're always helping other people. So I thought it was great to have you on. I think your run clubs are incredible. I think, thousands of people attend them weekly. It's no joke the impact that you have on the community, and I think it's important to highlight these things that make our city great, and you have a lot to do with that. So thank you, Frankie.
Thank you, Emi.
Hope everyone enjoys this one, buddy.